Welcome in episode 399 of What's Right with Nick Wright, presented to you by Boost Mobile, which means tomorrow's Week 14 gambling show is episode 400. Let me check real quick in real time where we're at on YouTube. YouTube, we are... Oh, this, I could screw everything up right now by going... YouTube, we're still right around 226,000 subscribers. We had a very ambitious goal of getting to 250,000 by the Super Bowl. I don't think that is going to happen, but it's still steady growth, and we appreciate that. And we really appreciate everybody that sent us messages that we were part of their Spotify Wrapped year-end most listened to. So thank you guys so much for that. And if you're new to the show, reminder to everybody, this is a full-blown kind of, internet TV show, if you will, in addition to a podcast. So there's a lot of production on the visual side. So if you want to subscribe on YouTube, you haven't checked us out there, we appreciate it. And if you regularly watch on YouTube, but also want to be able to watch or listen to us, if you can't get through a whole episode or, on a commute or something, iTunes and Spotify, we really do appreciate that as well. And it helps us out a great deal. Damonza, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Pops. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. We are approaching the 1 month birthday, I guess, of Mila.
Mila's month day.
Yeah, month day. There you go. So that's coming up in 5 days. This is terrible.
Well, it's coming up
9th?
4. It's 4.
Okay.
Because it was Monday, and I'm just thinking Monday is 4 days away. Am I tripping? Is Monday not 4 days away?
Monday is 4 days away. You're definitely tripping, though, on a bunch of fronts. She was not born on a Monday. I understand for you it was fog of war.
Oh, it was Sunday. It was. Okay, Jesus. It was a long process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, that's not really like it's not going to be Sunday to Sunday because that's just 28 days. So
right.
But regardless, that's coming up.
Milestone coming
back at work, back here, parenting, the whole nine. So we've got all that going on. A ton to get to today with the single biggest NFL weekend of the year. We're going to get into that some today and some in tomorrow's show. Also, we will do whittling down the 25 Hall of Fame semifinalists to our 5 picks to actually make the Hall of Fame. Something we remarkably went perfect on the last time we did it. We went 5 for 5 which shocked me as much as anybody, because that's a damn near impossible thing to predict unless it's no-brainers, but there's never no-brainers because so many guys feel like no-brainers. So we'll do that, and we will start the show with, is Giannis finally going to be traded? But before we get to that, straight to voicemail presented to you by Boost Mobile. Terrence Crawford stripped of his WBC title because he wouldn't pay some sanctioning fees. It's so stupid. Listen, I haven't researched this enough to know if Terrence is in the wrong, but even if he's in the wrong, I'm on Bud's side. Like the guy's the biggest star boxing has had in a decade. It's awesome that he has all these championship belts. Someone else pay those fees. Lakers-Celtics preview, we're not going to get to that. However, I will say, Luka in Slovenia for the birth of his child, reportedly, which was a little surprising that the mother of his child doesn't live here. I think it's his girlfriend. Yeah. I should have researched this more in the States. But regardless, so he's going to miss some time. The Celtics are playing really well. And the Clippers move on from Chris Paul in embarrassing, very Clipperish fashion. And I understand that it would appear Lawrence Frank has just a ton of friends in the media. But at some point, someone would be like, oh, he's been running that team for a decade, has had limitless resources in a huge market, and they've never competed for anything. This year's team has been an embarrassment from the word go. They did create a dynasty potentially, but it's in Oklahoma City. Like, anybody going to be like, hey, Lawrence Frank, let's check the ledger on good move, bad move, franchise-altering, disaster move, and you guys can't figure out. I understand. If you guys were good and Chris Paul was a nuisance, it's one thing. But when you're 5-16, to be like, yeah, Chris Paul's been a pain in the ass behind the scenes, well, maybe you should just listen to him. Like, what's the worst going to happen from just being like, we'll try it Chris's way. So there's that. Reminder, everybody, like, rate, subscribe, review. Damonza, let's talk Giannis.
Yeah, so on Tuesday, we talked about how impossible it was for Giannis to be catching LeBron on that all-time season points. Today, we're going to be talking about how possible it is that he's leaving Milwaukee. Do you think that's going to eventually happen? His agent and the Bucks are talking about his future there. Giannis seems a little fake, too.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I feel like he says one thing and he always means another thing. Like, I feel like he did the same thing with the Drew Holiday trade. I feel like he did the same thing with this offseason, saying that he wants to be there. And he kind of hasn't wanted to be there the entire time.
So this kind of goes back to the Lane Kiffin thing. It's very important in life to learn at an early age. Nobody gets everything. Nobody gets everything. And there are trade-offs that adults have to make where they do the old cliche pros and cons list, and you determine what matters most to you and what will make you happiest and act accordingly. And when you say Giannis has seemed a little fake, what I think is causing that is he wants to be beloved in Milwaukee and doesn't want to play for Milwaukee anymore. And he, I think, recognizes those two things might be in conflict. Now, I don't think he would ever be reviled or hated in Milwaukee at large. He's a franchise legend. He delivered them their only championship since Kareem. He has been a great NBA citizen and an even greater NBA player, or vice versa, however you want to look at it. He's one of the 20 greatest players ever. All of that cement is dry. But I think he understands that in whatever is left of his prime, which could be, up to 4 years maybe. He might have that much longer in his prime. This Bucks team's not going to be able to compete for anything. They have mortgaged and second mortgaged and taken out payday loans on the future, and those bills have all slowly but surely come due. And so I think it's pretty clear he does want out. And I think it's also pretty clear he doesn't know exactly how to do that because he doesn't want to just straightforward do a trade demand. But we are inching towards it. So, in today's NBA, and by the way, it should also be noted, last night, it looked like he might have suffered a catastrophic injury. The dreaded non-contact look back, did someone kick me reaction, which everybody these days knows that is part and parcel with an Achilles tear. But we've now had back-to-back big-time athletes in a couple weeks have that exact reaction to what appears to be that injury. And for both of them, it was the far less serious but still very scary calf strain. It's what happened with Sauce Gardner a couple weeks ago. It's what happened with Giannis last night. And so I talked with, I'm allowed to say this. I actually, oddly, randomly, no, I'm not going to say who it was. I talked with one of the greatest athletes ever in real time about Tyrese Halliburton's Achilles right when it happened. And what that person said was, in our game, the calf strain is the new I think he said ACL. Not in that you're out a year with it, but it's the most dreaded injury, and it's because there's no way, this was this guy's opinion, but he would know, there's no way to rehab it. You simply have to stay off it. So I think Giannis, here's the thing that I think is noteworthy and why I wanted to start with this. It is very possible that last night was Giannis's last game with the Bucks. That's on the board. I might even go as far as to say it's the most likely reality. Because if he has to miss weeks, maybe up to a month with a calf strain, and obviously he and Milwaukee are going to want to be incredibly cautious with this, then come December 15th, that's 11 days away, and that's when everybody who signed this offseason is eligible to be traded. More people are eligible to be traded starting the beginning of January, and this just could happen in the next month. And at this point, I think it is going to happen in the next month.
Where do you think would be the best landing spot for him?
So, ESPN, credit to them, did a good job putting together 5 trades. And this is why I really want to credit them. Because with the new CBA and the aprons, it is very difficult to construct trades that actually work. So these 5 ESPN trades, Bobby Marks has given them the stamp of, yes, the CBA would allow it.
Okay.
The off-the-board most interesting one that I actually think might be the most win-win, have a chance to compete, go on deep playoff runs, and you could sell it to both fan bases, and sadly is the least likely to happen, is Giannis to the Hawks. So here is ESPN's trade is as follows. Giannis and Cole Anthony for salary reasons. 4, Trae Young and Risa Shea. So the number 1 overall pick from a couple years ago in Risa Shea. Trae Young, who's got a couple years left on his deal. And then some really juicy picks, most notably the first-round pick the Pelicans traded to the Hawks. Which, keep in mind, here's why that trade is so interesting for Milwaukee. That first-round pick the Pelicans traded to the Hawks, Damonza, is the better of New Orleans' pick this year or Milwaukee's pick this year.
Yeah.
So what
one of them's
Milwaukee would right, what Milwaukee would then allow for is if by trading Giannis you fall apart in the short term, you then have the Pelicans ping pong balls and your own ping pong balls, right?
Right.
And whichever is the best of those two, you get that pick in this draft. Atlanta also has 2027 first-round pick, top 4 protected in this trade. That is again, well, this is the worst of the Pelicans and the Bucks. But maybe you could sweeten it to the better of. And then a couple other picks. So that, to me, is really interesting. If you keep Jalen Johnson, you keep Dyson, Milwaukee then can maybe flip Trae Young as well and Reese Shea was the number 1 pick of a draft. And Atlanta, which has proven they're just as good with or without Trae Young this season, maybe better without him. Giannis, Jalen Johnson, Porzingis when he's out there. It's a very interesting team in a wide open East. And with flexibility moving forward. So that's the one that makes the most sense for everybody. I don't know that I think that one is realistic in that I don't know if that's something Giannis would sign off on.
Yeah.
And but I think that's the best Milwaukee can do.
And doesn't it? And it has seemed like Giannis has wanted to play for a big market team. From the way that he talks, and that might be hard, but
right. And Atlanta is bigger than Milwaukee, obviously, but it's not like the marquee market. I also think Atlanta is more attractive to American-born NBA stars than international. Right. So I think that, but from a basketball perspective, you stay in the Eastern Conference. The team keeps really good pieces. I think there's a lot of reasons for it. The next trade ESPN brings up is the one we talked about all summer, which was Giannis to the Rockets. Here's the thing. So this is Giannis and his brother for Şengün and Van Vliet, who's obviously out for the year with an injury, and 1 first-round pick. I don't love this for either team.
Yeah.
To be totally honest. I don't think that's quite enough, Damonza, if you're Milwaukee.
Yeah,
as much as I love Şengün, that's to me not enough because you've traded away so many of your own future picks, like you need more draft capital. And if I'm Houston, I'm like, man, I'm all of a sudden getting really old. Like I already have Durant. Right. Now I'm adding a guy in year 13 in Giannis.
Got a lot of promise, younger.
Yeah, right. Doesn't. Yeah, right now, as is, we have the number 1 offense in all of basketball, and we're doing it without a point guard because Şengün kind of plays that. So that's just if I'm Houston. And the other thing is, if I'm in the West this year, I don't know that I want to push all my chips in this year because I might feel like OKC's just sitting there anyway. So I loved that this offseason. I don't love it as much now. The next trade ESPN had, and again, I usually like to make my own trades, but the CBA is so restrictive and there's only a handful of teams that this would make sense for, that it didn't make sense for me to, I would have come up with these, everybody's talking about these same 4 or 5 teams, and if we're talking about the same teams, we're all going to be talking about the same players, so I'll just give Kevin Pelton and Bobby Marks their credit for getting this out there and crib off their work. The next one, Damonza, is the Knicks. Giannis and Sims, again, for salary reasons. Sims back to New York, by the way. For Karl Anthony Towns, Kolek, Diadet. So it's really Giannis for Towns plus a 2026 first-round pick that won't be a first-round pick because it's the Wizards pick that's top 8 protected. And where are the Wizards? So, like, that's a fake good pick. Like, let me just look at the standings real quick. Yeah, the Wizards where I thought they would be, where they always are, dead last. So and then some pick swaps, and just pick swaps. So that's the problem. The problem for Milwaukee getting Giannis, Damonza, I'm sorry, the Knicks getting Giannis, is it's really just Giannis for Towns straight up with likely no extra picks.
Right.
Man, that's a tough sell.
Yeah.
That's a really tough sell if you're Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was about to say, I think Karl Anthony Towns is the better shot. Obviously, Giannis is the more physical, imposing player, but
Oh,
I don't know.
Giannis
I
is a
just feel,
way better player.
oh,
It
yeah.
would change. You
Uh,
would lose shooting. You would
right.
lose some spacing. There's no doubt about it. But if the Knicks could flip Towns for Giannis, and that's the only rotation pieces they're trading, they become the overwhelming Eastern Conference favorites. Over the Jalen Brunson and Giannis running pick, like, there's overwhelming.
Yeah.
They traded all those picks away for Bridges. And so the only way Giannis goes there is if he says that's the only place I want to go and Milwaukee bends to it. So there's two more. The Spurs, they can include a bunch of picks, and again, it would be a real negotiation. Are you including Castle or are you including Dylan Harper? Are we trading De'Aaron Fox? That's the one that if I were Milwaukee, I would be interested in if I could get Harper instead of Castle. And if I were San Antonio, I might look at it like this. Man, I do not know how long Wemby's prime is going to be. Like, I think because of his size and already the injury stuff, I think that, like, you can't treat Wemby's timeline like Cooper Flags or like a traditional.
Well, so basically saying he's untouchable
player.
when it comes to trading, like, and actually think about putting him in, or
No.
Oh.
I'd never trade him. What I'm saying is, I think sometimes when you have a great, really young player who's not yet to his prime, you're like, let's wait to make the move.
Oh, okay. So you're saying, like, move now, act now.
I'm saying accelerate. Right. I'm saying if you're San Antonio, it might make sense to accelerate because you don't know if in 10 years, your best chance to win might be the next 4 years or something. So that to me is an interesting one. But again, does Giannis want to go from Milwaukee to San Antonio? And does Giannis want to spend the end of his prime as maybe the second guy on a team? I don't know. And then the last one is Golden State, which I just don't understand why Milwaukee would do this. This is Draymond, Kuminga, and Hield, none of which are, at this point in their careers, useful players like at a high level without Steph, without, somebody that creates the offense. Draymond's super useful in his role, but on a bad team and then a bunch of first-round picks, I totally get why the Warriors would do this, but I don't know why.
And I feel like Draymond going to another team, that definitely stunts it. How much longer he's in the league.
I think they'd buy, 100%. And Draymond, you would then maybe flip Draymond to a contender that could want.
Right.
Because Draymond's still super useful if you're playing big basketball games.
Yeah. With his IQ and all that stuff. But yeah.
And if I'm Milwaukee, I don't know that I want a bunch of first-round picks from Golden State when I know Golden State's got that ownership, that coach, and going to have Giannis, even when Steph is gone. So Atlanta's the best trade. Houston's the most interesting. The Knicks are far and away the worst trade and would only happen if Giannis demands it. And Milwaukee acquiesces. And then I don't see the Warriors, and the Spurs one really depends on how aggressive the Spurs want to be. So, but I think Giannis, my big takeaway, Damonza, is I think it is more likely than not that the next, because of the injury last night, the next game Giannis plays in the NBA will be for a different team, which is crazy. Today's show is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. Big news, Hard Rock Bet is now live in Michigan. Sign up today, place your first $5 sports bet. If it wins, you get $150 in bonus bets on top of your winnings. And if you're more into casino games, new customers can get up to $1,000 back in casino bonus if you're not up money after your first 24 hours playing slots. Win money or get a casino bonus back. Plus, you also get 200 bonus spins, winnings paid in cash. Not sure what to place your first bet on? Head over to Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub and it'll help you out. It's loaded with trends, streaks, and stats to help guide your picks. Numbers don't lie, and neither does the data in there. Check out the Stats Hub now. Get the edge so you can bet with confidence. Plus, Hard Rock Bet offers new promos daily, plus big legendary reward drops every Thursday, like gifts under the tree. So whenever you're listening, open the app, check out what you've got waiting for you. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit. All right, let's talk about tonight's football game, Damonza.
All right, Jerry Jones is already talking playoffs, but they have the Lions tonight. And if they play Lions and they lose, the playoff, what do you call it, the playoff simulator, it's putting it to under 10% that they make it. If they lose tonight, do you think we're done talking about Dallas for the season?
I don't, and here's why. So it's very simple. Dallas needs 2 more wins than Philly the rest of the way in order to steal the division. So if Dallas goes 5-0 and Philly goes 3-2, Dallas wins the division. 3-2 or worse, obviously. If Dallas goes 4-1 and Philly goes 2-3, Dallas steals the division. Even if the Cowboys lose tonight, they then go home Vikings, home Chargers, tough, at the Commanders, short week, Christmas, don't know, what the Commanders will look like at that point, should have Jaden back, and then at Giants. I think the Cowboys, even if they lose tonight, have a chance to go 4-1, and Philly, on the other hand, has a handful of, given how they've been playing, they could lose that. At the Chargers Monday night, obviously they could lose. Home for the Raiders, no, you can't lose. But then at Washington, at the Bills, and then home for Washington. So even if the Cowboys lose tonight, I don't think we're going to be done talking about them, even though at that point, if they lose tonight, they're going to have to basically, draw to an inside straight. But I think they would have, like you said, 10% chance, maybe a little better than that. Because I do think the Cowboys are playing at a super high level right now. So and I expect the Lions to win tonight. I just think asking a team to beat Philly, beat Kansas City, then beat Detroit, the last of which is on the road, is a hell of an ask. And the Lions are, they haven't lost 2 in a row since like Dan Campbell's first year there. They've been incredible. They've been the best team in the league at bouncing back from losses. And you mentioned if they lose, the Athletic Playoff Predictor has the Cowboys at 10%. If the Lions lose, the Athletic Playoff Predictor has them at 12%. So, and they don't have just one team in front of them in the division that they would need to collapse. They have the Packers, Bears in front of them in the division, and those teams play each other twice. So either one of them is going to go 2-0 or they're going to split. So, they are, as they sit here today, Damonza, the Lions are 4% to win that division. And with a loss, it's basically dead to win the division. Now, I think the Lions win tonight.
It's going to be frisky.
Go ahead.
I think it's going to be pretty frisky.
Well, the Cowboys look great. I mean, Dak is playing out of his mind, and Dak with a great performance tonight and a win can maybe open up the MVP race to a third person.
Yeah.
Right now it's Stafford and May, but Dak, if Joe Burrow last year ended up getting votes and finishing 4th or 5th for a team that missed the playoffs, if Dak gets this team back from the dead and they end up, running down Philadelphia and winning the division, then I think he might be, him, Stafford, and May will be a real discussion. And I think what people will say is Stafford's got a great defense. May's got a really good defense. The Cowboys' defense the first 10 weeks of the year was a train wreck. And so that's how they will offset the records of those two guys. It's hard for me to believe, Damonza, that the Lions' season is going to end tonight. It's not hard for me to believe the Cowboys. Listen, the Cowboys, they traded Micah. They've lost some bad games. They're hot right now. But are the Lions going to, in what is supposed to be their championship window, miss the playoffs this year, which would then mean in consecutive years they win a grand total of 0 playoff games? They're going to go from up 17 in the conference championship game to the 1 seed and getting clocked in their first playoff game to out of the playoffs entirely. And by the way, even if they win tonight, they might do that. Like, if they win tonight, and then they lose next week to the Rams, they're back down to 35% to make the playoffs. And the Lions basically have to go 4-1 the rest of the way to make the postseason.
Damn.
If they do that, then they almost assuredly should be in. If they don't, then they almost assuredly are out. Their games are home Cowboys, at the Rams, home Steelers, at the Vikings, at the Bears. It's not easy, man. And so, let me check. Oh, I saw it yesterday. Amon-Ra St. Brown is listed as questionable. I think obviously
seems like he
they
might
need
play.
Yeah, I think he's gonna play. And so if he were out, with Laporta already out and some of the other injuries they have, that might be enough to push me to Dallas. With him playing, and the fact that I just don't. Dallas has looked amazing. I saw it up close and personal. Dallas has looked amazing the last couple weeks. But the week before that, they lost to Arizona. They got, I forget the other game because they lost back-to-back games. But regardless, I've got the Lions tonight. But if the Lions lose, they're just done. And that would just kind of be going out with a whimper that I don't expect, even having lost the coordinators, which again, every year in the offseason, we gloss over the coordinator losses. The Lions offense hasn't been the same without Ben Johnson. And the Bears offense running game has been unbelievable with Ben Johnson. The Lions defense has been fine, but they seem to miss Aaron Glenn, and the Jets might want to give him back. But it's just, it hasn't, And Dan Campbell taking over play calling didn't, just snap fix everything. Are you thinking about upgrading to the all-new iPhone 17 Pro, designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever? But you're also thinking about the hassle of getting to the store, or what if you can't transfer all your data correctly? Well, good news. When you order a new phone online with Boost Mobile, they'll send an expert to your home or work to deliver your brand new iPhone 17 Pro and get you all set up on Boost Mobile within minutes. No hassle. Visit boostmobile.com to get started. Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com. Terms do apply. All right, Damonza, let's talk Texans-Chiefs.
All right, so big game for your boys this weekend,
Yeah.
and it's coming up against that top-ranked defense in the Texans. Is it fair to say that this is the biggest regular season game of Patrick Mahomes' career?
Yeah. And, that's just going to keep happening. Like, then if they win or lose, next week's even bigger. Honestly. So if they win, then next week against the Chargers, you really have a chance to get back on your feet. So if the Chiefs win and they get to 7-6 and critically de facto pass Houston in the standings, because they'll both be 7-6, but Casey will have the head-to-head tiebreaker, and then you play the Chargers, you have a chance, if Philly beats the Chargers, to also then draw even with the Chargers and be 8-6 with a Titans game coming up, a Raiders game is your final game of the year, and feel like, okay, we can salvage this thing. If you lose, then next week's game against the Chargers is a playoff game, and you kind of know deep down, even winning out, there's a very good chance it's not enough. So the Chiefs can make the playoffs. They will make the playoffs if they run the table. They can make the playoffs at 4-1, but who that one loss comes to is wildly influential. So if they go 4-1, again, I'll just use the Athletic playoff predictor. If they go 4-1, but the loss is to the Texans, they're 40% to make the playoffs. If they go 4-1, but the loss is to the Chargers, they're 43% to make the playoffs. If they go 4-1, but the loss is to the Broncos, they're 53% to make the playoffs. And that's because they're not trying, one of the teams trying to take that last playoff spot isn't the Broncos. It's the Texans or the Chargers. So oddly, the team that, if they go 4-1, but the loss is to the Titans, they're 70% to make the playoffs, because that wouldn't be a divisional loss and the Titans don't matter. Regardless, point remains, losing either the next 2 weeks for Mahomes are the biggest regular season games of his career, which are obviously, he's played in 21 playoff games. He's 17-4 in the playoffs. They're not, they are the 22nd and 23rd biggest games of his career, but that's still something. Here's the thing, though. All week long, Damonza, I've been talking about, and folks seem in the national media to also now be talking about, that Chiefs' inability to get to the quarterback has been their problem. Third down defense. My pal Mina Kimes had this. I'm going to read directly from her Twitter. She had the stats. From 2022 to 2024, when the Chiefs blitzed, they ranked first in yards per play, second in pressure rate, third in sack rate. First, second, third when they blitzed over the last 3 years. This year, in those same categories when they blitzed, they are 31st, 28th, 31st. So they have gone from the best blitz team in the league to the worst blitz team in the league. Their third and long defense has gone from great to awful, and those are hand and glove directly correlated. With that said, Damonza, that's not my biggest concern for this game. My biggest concern... Go ahead.
It's the O-line, I imagine,
Yeah.
with that defense coming up.
Yeah. So Josh Simmons is out. He's on the IR. Even if they make... I don't know, they haven't given us an indication on if they make the playoffs, would he be back for a playoff run? God willing, if they make the playoffs, I'd hope so. But they've dealt without Josh Simmons. Jalen Moore is not as good as Josh Simmons, but they signed him this offseason. Simmons missed that time with the family issue. They've had someone else play left tackle this year and been okay. But Jawan Taylor is also injured. He did not practice yesterday. Trey Smith is also injured. He did not practice yesterday. If Josh Simmons and your right guard and your right tackle are out against this Texans team, it is going to take one of the most brilliant Andy Reid game plans of his life and a 10 out of 10, even by his standards, Patrick Mahomes performance to be able to move the ball. And so that's what I am.
Scary. All those missing reinforcements.
Now the flip side is this Texans offense has been really a mess all year. And this is an opportunity for Spags and that defense to cook a bit. But this would be my number 32 draft pick of teams I would want to face with the offensive line in this shape.
Yeah.
And Wanya Morris has just been so problematic his whole career. Now listen, he's your third string left tackle. Nobody has a good third string left tackle. But man, that's my concern.
Is it
so
fair
I'm not
to say that you need the running backs to kind of step up in this game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're right.
But the running backs though need good blocking too. But yeah, this is a game where you would love if you could hand the ball off 35 times.
Right.
You would love it. I don't know that the Texans defense is just so good. And so, yeah, I'm concerned. Now, hopefully, Arrowhead Sunday night, that crowd helps the defense. But I need to see the Thursday and Friday practice reports before I can give because they can deal without Josh Simmons. It won't be great, but they can deal with it. No Josh Simmons and no Jawan Taylor and no Trey Smith. That might be a bridge too far against this defense. All right, you know what? Let's get to Eagles-Chargers, Damonza.
So as we talked about a little bit before, we know that your Chiefs need a little bit of help from some other teams to make this playoff push a little bit easier to get to. So the Eagles are playing the Chargers, and Justin Herbert's got a hand injury. I think he just got surgery, so he's day-to-day. So how's it going to feel this weekend when you're rooting for the Eagles?
It's going to feel weird, man. I don't even know, because it's not that I have, lifelong disliked the Eagles. Most of my life, I didn't really care about them. I did, however, I liked Donovan because he was a Syracuse guy. I loved Vic when he was there. I did root for them in the Super Bowl against Brady just because it was fun seeing what Nick Foles was doing. But now they are, you play my team in a couple Super Bowls. Your fans regularly accost me on the street. And so I have been, pretty ardently not a big fan of Philly. And I think I've been fair in that, I mean, their team goes 3-and-out more than any team in the NFL the last decade. They clearly have some issues. Can you believe that stat?
Yeah, that's wild.
They have the highest 3-and-out rate of any team in the NFL in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I
There
mean,
have
how
been
are
some
the
terrible
Titans are playing?
teams.
I was about to say.
Right. So all of that. With that said, and maybe this is a little heart overhead, but I don't think so because the Eagles are favorites. I think the Eagles' D-line should be able to disrupt a battered Justin Herbert, assuming he plays enough that they can win that game with their defense alone, as bad as their offense has been. And man, oh man, do I need them to win that game. Now, we don't know. This is Monday. We're doing this Thursday morning. We're not going to get a real update on Herbert probably until the weekend. If Trey Lance beats the Eagles, it's a 5-alarm fire in Philly, and it's devastating for the Chiefs. And I like Trey Lance.
Yeah.
But Harbaugh's got something cooked up ready for him too.
Yes.
We saw him this offseason. All right, let's talk a little Hall of Fame here.
Yeah, so we teased it on Tuesday. We ran out of time. Here, we're going to show the Hall of Fame semifinalists. Who do you think is going to get in? Who are our picks this year?
All right, so let's do this. And if you guys can keep a running tally in the doc, that would be helpful. Let's do this the way we did this before, which is, first let me tell the audience who are new to the ballot. First ballot possibilities are Breeze, Rivers, Frank Gore, Larry Fitzgerald, and Jason Witten. Okay? Now, let me tell the audience who was on the ballot last year and made the semifinals last year. Okay? Or I'm sorry, last year was a finalist. So got close last year. Eli, Fred Taylor, Holt, Steve Smith, Reggie Wayne, Vinatieri, Willie Anderson, Jari Evans, Marshall Yonda, Kuechly, Suggs, Darren Woodson. Now let me tell the audience, folks, that our semifinalists this year are not new to the ballot and were not finalists last year. Hines Ward, Lomas Brown, Richmond Webb, Steve Wisniewski, Robert Mathis, Vince Wilfork, Kevin Williams, Rodney Harrison, Earl Thomas. Okay. We are going to do two things. We are going to say Breeze and Fitzgerald are in. So that's 2 of our 5 in. We are also going to say Rivers, Gore, and Witten are not going to be first ballot guys. This is their first time on the ballot. Any of those guys might eventually make it. They're not making it this year. So we're going to eliminate those guys. By eliminating those guys, I am also going to eliminate finalist from last year, Fred Taylor, because I think Gore gets in before Fred Taylor. I think people think Gore had a better career than Fred Taylor, and if they're not going to put Gore in, I don't think they're going to put him in. So he's out. I am also going to say that Hines Ward, who was not a finalist last year, Lomas Brown, Richmond Webb, Mathis, Wilfork, Williams, Rodney Harrison, and Earl Thomas. They weren't finalists last year. I don't think in a stacked class they're going to go from not even a finalist to in, so they're out. So for 3 spots, that then leaves us quarterback Eli Manning, wide receivers Torrey Holt, Steve Smith, Reggie Wayne, kicker Adam Vinatieri, offensive linemen Willie Anderson, Jari Evans, Marshall Yanda, linebackers Kuechly and Suggs, and D-back Darren Woodson. Okay, so there's that. I don't think this is going to happen, but I do think when I'm looking at this, what would be kind of cool would be if they said Vinatieri, Will Fork, Rodney Harrison, you guys are going to wait. And if you're going to get in, we're putting you in with Brady and kind of just having an entire class of the Patriots dynasty. I think that would be pretty cool. I don't think that's likely the way they're going to go. So of those guys that we have not yet eliminated, I am now going to take off. I'm going to eliminate Steve Smith because I just don't think he's better than these other guys. I'm going to eliminate Eli Manning because I don't think he was better than Phillip Rivers. And that then leaves Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, Adam Vinatieri, Willie Anderson, Jari Evans, Marshall Yanda, Luke Kuechly, Terrell Suggs, and Darren Woodson. I believe, and we already have Breeze and Fitz in, so we have 3 spots. I believe Luke Kuechly gets in. Just too high of a peak, and I think it's undeniable how great he was. I think they are going to want to put in at least one offensive lineman. And I think it will be Willie Anderson. And in part, that's because I don't think they want them all to be kind of relatively new. And then that would... And you know what? I think they are going to put Vinatieri in with Brady. I think they're going to make him wait. I don't think they're going to put in multiple wide receivers. So Holt and Reggie Wayne are out. I don't think they're going to put in multiple offensive linemen. So that then means it comes down to Terrell Suggs and Darren Woodson. And I think that, so Kuechly is going to have the argument of, my peak was so insane. I played 8 years. I was a 5-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, and a Defensive Player of the Year. I think Terrell Suggs' argument would be, I also was a Defensive Player of the Year. I won a couple Super Bowls. Do I have it here? How many total career sacks he had? I have 139 career sacks. And I think that rather than directly compare the two, they put them both in. So Terrell Suggs, sorry, Darren Woodson, is not in. So Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, and Terrell Suggs, along with offensive lineman Willie Anderson. That is my projection for this year's Hall of Fame. I love doing this exercise. I'll never go 4 for 4 again. I also want to go ahead and plant my flag on. I think it'd be pretty damn cool if they could find a way to get a Patriots class. So the problem is going to be that Gronk is going to be eligible before Tom. Gronk's final year was 2021. Tom's final year was 2022. But if just maybe you could, and Gronk deserves to be first ballot with a bullet, but Vince Wilfork, Rodney Harrison are deserving at some point to be Hall of Famers. Adam Vinatieri at some point will get in. Gronk is eligible next year. If you could just tell Gronk, wait 1 year, and we're going to have the first ever one-team class with Brady, that would be pretty sick. And just the Patriot dynasty sweep the board, I think that'd be pretty sick. We should put this on the internet since Wilds is turning me back into a Patriots hater. So all the Patriot fans know I respect what they did. I'm planting my flag on. I came up with the idea. Convince Gronk that it's not an insult. He's not first ballot. He's going to have to wait one extra year, and then everybody goes in with Tom. Gronk, Vinatieri, Wilfork, Rodney, Brady. And that's your Hall of Fame class in 2028. That'd be pretty sick. All right, so here's what we've got to do. We got to do our gambling show. So we're going to step aside. We're going to end this show. We are then, Damonza and I are going to stay exactly where we are. And we are going to bring you our red hot, with teasers and with my picks, Week 14 gambling show. That's next. We will talk to you guys for that tomorrow. I'll see you guys on TV later today. Reminder to everybody, like, rate, subscribe, review to the channel. We greatly appreciate that. And shout out to Blue Duck, shout out to Volume, shout out to Hard Rock Bet, Boost, and of course our friends at Zen. Talk to you guys tomorrow for the Week 14 gambling show.